guys, this is Christy Falk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, normally on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I am doing my card class at home live. Well, I'm not going to be able to do it live because I'm not home at 7:30 p.m. tonight. I'm going to be playing with my friends. I've got a friend that's doing a crop. That's like a crafting retreat in case you haven't been to one. Everybody brings their own crafting supplies and works on their own stuff, scrapbooking cards, things like that. I'm really looking forward to some time off, being able to just make cards and visit with all my friends. I'm really looking forward to this. But I'm going to miss talking with you guys. But if the internet is working where I'm going to be at tonight, I will have my laptop with me and I will be watching the video with you, the premiere, and commenting right along with you in the live chat. So it will be a little different from my regular lives, but that's okay. But those of you that are watching it after the premiere is over, please you can comment too below, and I will be coming back and checking all your comments and replying back to you too, because I love interacting with everybody. But I just want to let you know it's going to be a little different. It's not exactly a live, but it is a premiere, and I will be hopefully watching with you and be able to comment along with you during the live chat. Okay, how my card class at homes work. I pick a stamp set or a bundle, and I make 3 cards with it. And then I do my live, this time a premiere, and that way the class video is free to everyone. Now, if you live in the United States and would like to get these card kits that you're seeing right here, what I do, I come up, make card kits so you can make 2 of each card. So you'll get be able to make 6 cards. And the way you get this is if you place a $35 order, that's before shipping and tax, using my current host code. You can see that in the bottom left-hand corner. I will get these mailed out to you for free. And let's see. Then if you bump it up to a $50 order before shipping and tax, you will also get the Tinsel Gems Three-Pack. This has, I don't know if you can see the blue. You'll see them here in a minute when I use them. But it's Misty, Moonlight, Fresh Freesia, and Lost Lagoon. So if you place a $35 order using my host code before shipping and tax, you'll get the card kits for free. If you bump it up to a $50 order, you'll also get the Tinsel Gems 3-pack for free. And if you notice, I did lower the price just a little bit. I got to crunching the numbers and realized I could do that. So now it's just a $35 order before shipping and tax for the card kits and $50 order to get the embellishments too. So I'll go ahead and get these out of the way. And if you want to learn more, because I know you probably aren't going to remember the host code and all that, just look down in the video description and click on the one that says my current host code. That is, well, I'll probably go ahead and reword that and have it just say card class at home. Click on that, and then you can get all the information there. The host code will be there. When not to use the host code. If your order is $150 or more, do not use the host code. That way, you'll also get the Stampin' Rewards from Stampin' Up, and I'll still send out the card kits and the embellishments to you. Okay, first off, I want to show you the stamps that I picked out. This time I did pick a stamp set out instead of a bundle. This is the Bird's Eye View. I think this is such a cute set, and I actually just got it this week, and I was dying to use it. So as soon as I got it, I knew this was the one I wanted to do the card class with today. So I will be doing some coloring with Stampin' Blends. And that's the nice thing with this being recorded. I can kind of fast forward through the coloring so you don't have to sit there and watch me color. But this is so cute. I will be using most of the stamps. I guess I should just tell you the ones I'm not going to use. I'm not going to use the little, looks like it could be a balloon. I think it's also a monocle is what it is. But you can definitely use it as a balloon. And this set of glasses here. And this bird right here. But I used everything else that's in the stamp set. And there are a couple things I'm using on all 3 cards as well. I'm also using the Charming Sentiment stamp set and the Sentiment Silhouettes dies. These coordinate together. I love this. We've also got another one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's another one that does the same type thing. It's got dies that'll die cut the greetings out for you right around the greetings. So the ones I'm using for all 3 of my cards, I'm going to be using the, let's see, the Hey There, the Woohoo, and What's New. But you could definitely change any of the greetings out and use another greeting set of your own also. That's another thing with my card kits. I try to make them 2 so you can use another stamp set. If you don't have the Bird's Eye View, but you have another stamp set that would look good with these cards, you can definitely customize these to what you want them to look like. So that's that. And I'm also using the Nested Essentials dies. These I haven't had for very long either, and I'm already liking them. You've seen me use the Stylish Shapes a ton. I think this is another one I'm going to be grabbing a lot. So I'm using every single shape in this one. And then a couple of the cards, I'm going to be doing some embossing. These are called the Basics 3D embossing folders. I'm not using the polka dot one, which I still love this one, but I am going to be using these two. This will be on the first card and this will be on the last card. So you get to see what these look like better when I start making those cards. Oh, and these are part of the online exclusives. They're not in any catalog. You can just go to my online store, and there is a link to that down in my video description. And just do the search and say Basics 3D embossing folders, and they'll pop up for you. Okay, let's get started with the first card. So here's my pack. If you place that $35 order before shipping and tax with my host code, this will be the pack that you get, but you'll get double since you'll get two of each. And as you can see, I did do the embossing. There's that one I showed you earlier in that Basics 3D embossing folders. Hopefully you can see what that looks like. Sometimes it's hard to tell in videos. And I did forget to mention, I'm also using the Delightfully Eclectic DSP. When I say DSP, that's Designer Series Paper. Just want to make sure you know what that means. This is it's a very big pack. It's a 12 by 12 pack. There are 12 double-sided designs, 4 of each design. So there are 48 sheets. It's a really nice pack, and it's actually one of the 13 packs. It's on sale in June. So if you order this before June 30th, or by June 30th of 2023, you'll save 15%. So you'll actually save a few dollars with this one since it's a nice big pack. It's a little more expensive than the others. So if you've been wanting to get this pack, this is a really good time to get it. Okay, so this is my card base. It's a 5.5 by 8.5. It is Misty Moonlight. I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half. Normally I stamp first, but I thought I'll just do something a little different this time. We'll go ahead and put some of the card together here before I start stamping. Then I'm going to grab, this is a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of crumb cake. So I'll turn this over. Get some adhesive here. Put this right here and just put this right here in the middle. And then I'll grab this piece. This is a 4 inch by 2 inch piece. And I'm going to put this right across the bottom. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom though. So get it about right there. Line those edges of the DSP up with the edges of the crumb cake layer. Okay, so now we've got the card base ready to go, so now we need to get some stamping done. Okay, now I'm going to do a little stamping on this little die cut. This is die cut with those Nested Essentials dies, and I used the second largest one with this shape. So this will be die cut for you. I'm just using everything that comes in the packet so you can see how it looks. Okay, I'm going to grab the limb, or the branch, I should say, I guess, either way. I'm going to use the Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad. And when I use this, I find that it works better if you twist. It seems to ink up the stamp a lot better. I'm going to stamp this from this direction, like so. Have the right end off the edge just a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to grab that smallest bird in the set, ink it up with the same ink pad. And I'm going to put him right about here. Okay, so he's sitting on the limb. And I'm going to be adding, I'm going to be needing some leaves. So I'm going to grab that leaf stamp, use the Tuxedo Black Memento again. Gonna line it up right here. Okay, and then we're going to have some more here in just a minute. So that's all I'm going to do on this piece. Now I'm going to grab a 3 by 3 inch piece of basic white. I'm going to use this bird here. Ink it up. Put it down here. Hold that down for a few seconds. Now I'm going to grab those leaves again. And I'll stamp them up here. So on this one, I'm going to be doing a little fussy cutting. The other cards, I don't. But this one just looks so much better doing a little bit of fussy cutting. Now I'm going to grab the What's New stamp and my Misty Moonlight ink pad. And let's just stamp this over here, because this one I'm going to be able to die cut with that Sentiment Silhouettes dies. Okay. Now, oh, and by the way, the ink pads and things, of course, are not part of the card kits. So if you click on that link below, the Card Class at Home link below, when you click on it, you'll find all the ink pad listed that I used. Of course, like I said before, you can substitute those out with whatever you have on hand too. So there we go. We've got that ready. Now I'm going to do some coloring. Oh, wait a minute. I need to do a little more stamping. I'm going to clean off my little bird here. You could use the bigger bird too. But I decided I wasn't going to color the inside in. So I'm just going to take this, take my Misty Moonlight ink pad, and stamp this little guy here in the bottom left corner. And that's all I'm going to do. Now, if you want to do more and do the bigger bird and color it in like we're going to here in a minute for the front of the card, you go right ahead. But that's just what I opted to do. Okay, now I'm bringing this piece back in. I'm going to be doing some coloring. This is Pecan Pie. This is what I'm going to use for the branch. I'm going to start off with the dark. You don't have to start off with the dark. This is just the way I do it. I'm just going to put wherever I think there should be some shading. So I think there needs to be some shading there. I am going to have a bird right here, so I'm going to do a little bit of shading here. A little bit underneath the leaves. Maybe a little bit right here. Doesn't need much. And now I'm going to use the light Pecan Pie. And if you're thinking, boy, I don't remember that color. This is one of our new colors. It's in the Neutrals collection. So go ahead and get these. I'm intentionally coloring over the dark. When I do that, it blends it in with the light one. And it really makes it look a little more realistic. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's got some shading to it now. And doesn't look like I just put a dark streak here. Now it's all blended in and it looks really nice. So I'm done with the Pecan Pie. Now I'm going to use Old Olive. And let's go ahead and grab this one too, since I've got the Old Olive out. I'm going to take the dark one. And wherever the lines are here, I'm going to kind of do a little squiggly line down. And a little bit down here at the bottom. So I'm thinking those would be a little darker on if they were real leaves. So do this on all the leaves. Okay, I'm done with the dark olive, Old Olive. Now I'm going to use my light Old Olive. And I'm just going to go over these, color them in completely, going over that dark, and I'm going to keep going over it until it blends in really nice. Okay? So see, if I just do this with one swoop, you can really see a stark contrast between those shades. Now, if I go and bring this over, because I don't want to have this on top because it does soak through. That's why I've got my paper underneath here to protect my workspace. And I'm going over the dark again with the light. And now you can see how it's shaded in. It's nice and blended. So I'll do this with all the other leaves. Okay, now it's time to start coloring in those birds. I'm going to be using Crumb Cake and Boho Blue. Now, I know the card base is Misty Moonlight, but when I started using my Misty Moonlight, it made it just a lot darker than I wanted it to. And the Boho Blue goes great with the Misty Moonlight, so that's why I opted for this one. So with this little guy, his body is going to be Crumb Cake. And you see his little tummy has some lines there. So I'm going to use my dark Crumb Cake there and just kind of make some squiggly lines. I don't want it to be straight. Okay. And then the rest of him, I'm going to color in with the light Crumb Cake, making sure I don't color that beak, because I'm going to be coloring that in with Daffodil Delight. So I'm going over the whole thing here. His wing is going to be the Boho Blue. Then when he's all colored in, I'm going to go over here and kind of blend in that dark area. And if I go over it again, the light actually darkens up a little bit, but I intentionally left a little bit lighter here in the middle, just to make it look like maybe there's some light to him. So you can make the light Crumb Cake a little darker by adding another layer, but if you want a little light space as you're going, just kind of go around it and don't put any more on the middle. Now make it a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to grab my Boho Blue, and where these lines are, this is the dark Boho Blue. I'm going to do this. Then bring in the light and color in his whole wing. And then I will get all those blended and just keep going over until it looks nice and blended. Now we've got one more thing to do with this little guy. I'm going to use my dark Daffodil Delight. I'm not going to, since it's so small, we don't need 2 shades. And color in his little beak. So this piece is all ready to go, so put that over to the side. Now we just need to color this guy. I decided to do it a little different. I'm going to have his body be boho blue and his wing crumb cake. So he's going to be a little different from the little one. So I'm going to bring in my dark boho blue again, where I'm seeing these lines. Kind of fill it in a little bit with the dark. And I thought I'd put a little dark on the lines over here, so there'd be folds in his feathers. Okay. Bring in a light boho blue and color it in with the same concept I used with the crumb cake on the small one. There we go. So he's got a little shading to him. Now I'm going to take the dark crumb cake and the lines in his wing. Make those a little dark, squiggly. And then the light crumb cake will finish off coloring him except for his beak. We need to make sure that's a yellow. Okay, last but not least, let's get that little beak done. And now I'm going to be doing some fussy cutting. So let me get my blends out of the way. I'm going to bring in my paper snips. And I'm just going to go around the leaves here first. Now the trick with the fussy cutting is that you need to move the paper more than the scissors. Okay, so I'm getting a nice smooth curve here because I'm actually moving the paper more than the scissors. Now you do need to stop moving the paper when you have to open your scissors up, because eventually they'll start closing too much on you and you've got to open them up a little bit again. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do this. The rest of that cardstock's getting in my way. So I'll just keep cutting this out. Okay, there are the leaves. Now, if you wanted to, you could fussy cut each leaf out, but I went ahead and just left them together for time's sake. Now, I need to fussy cut this out. I just remembered I forgot to do something. Okay, I'm going to grab my bird again and use my Tuxedo Black Memento, and all I'm going to ink up are his feet. Actually, it's probably easier to see it this way. If I get his stomach a little bit, that is okay. We're going to be covering that up. So I've just got his feet done. And then I will put him here. There we go. I know a little bit of that bird is still showing because I did not clean him off. I forgot to do that, but no, like I said, no problem. We're going to be covering all that up, except for the feet. So that's why we want those to be black. So now I don't have to fussy cut those feet out. That makes it a whole lot easier. You can definitely fussy cut him out if you want to, but this guy is pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and just take this off. Like I said, I'll be die cutting that here in just a minute. But this guy is so easy to fussy cut. I don't mind fussy cutting, but I don't do it that often. And I don't do it a lot on my cards for classes, because I know that's going to take a long time. And some people just don't like to fussy cut, and I don't blame you. But this guy is super easy. I'm just going around his hair a little bit. You could cut that off if you don't want to cut around that, but I kind of liked it. Now I'm kind of cutting a little closer than I probably really meant to. If you want to have a little more white space along the edges, you can go a little farther away. It's whichever your preference is. Now I'll cut this off. But see how easy that was? I didn't even speed up the film. I think I will take a little V out up here with his hair. There, that looks a little better. Now we'll go ahead and put these to the side because I need to get the die cutting machine out. Okay, I'm using my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the boho blue one. And yes, this is still available. It's $63 if you're interested. I'm going to bring that What's New. And here is the die from the Sentiment Silhouettes. I'm just going to make sure I get that greeting inside. Here, I'm at a little bit of an angle. Hopefully I'm still on the screen. Let me bring this up a little bit. There we go. And I need to grab some washi tape. I forgot I didn't have any on there. If it moves on me again, I'll just reposition it. Now, I will not be able to die cut these because it is about impossible to stamp this greeting in a little bitty space. And also, so I'm just going to give you a strip of white, so that way you can use whatever sentiment you want to, and you can cut it down any way you like. This going here. And voila, it's all cut out for me. Get this off here. I don't get this stamp set out enough with the dies. It got called a bundle. It was a bundle in the last catalog, but isn't that cool? I really like that. So I'm all done die cutting. Now I'll finish this card. Okay, I brought the card base back in. I'm going to grab this piece here. Now this is just a tad bit wider than this, and I mean a tad. It is barely goes over. So I didn't bother clipping off the edges because it's still going to fit in my envelope with no problem. So, I mean, it barely goes over. So what I'm doing, I'm making sure that I don't see the top edge of the DSP, because you see how this angle's up. So that's how I'm getting that positioned and trying to get it centered left and right. And I'm just laying it down right now. I'm not pushing it down. I'm waiting until I've got it right where I want it. And that looks pretty good to me. So now I'll go ahead and push it down. I'm going to bring in this guy here and the leaves that I fussy cutted. I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on here. And I think I'll put one over here too. This one is probably going to be good with just one. Let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Now I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool, take all these little paper backings off. And I'm going to put this on, making sure I cover up all that stamped area I didn't mean to do. But nobody's going to know because he's going to be covered up. That looks pretty good. Okay, now I got him where I want him, so I'll push him down to make sure he's attached really good. Now I've got my leaves, because I felt I needed something coming down here. So I'm going to put this right there. We've got one more thing to put on, and that's the What's New. You could put that on with just adhesive, but I wanted it popped up too. And because it's so small, I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Put one here in the middle. And these little ones just fit on these ends. That'll work. And then I want to put one right here. Take those paper backings off. And I thought we'd put the What's New close to the big bird, so it kind of looks like he's asking the question. Okay, now I'm going to grab the inside of the card where we've stamped that little bird, or whatever you decide to stamp inside it. Put this on the inside. And then last but not least, I'm using the Tinsel Gems 3-pack. This is the pack that you can get free if you bump your order up to a $50 order. And these are not included in the card kits unless you bump it up to the $50. So I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to do a little one up here close to the What's New. And I'm going to grab a big one. I'm going to grab a little one. Oh, I know what's going on. I don't have enough putty coming out. There we go. And I'll put one right next to it right here. That's pretty close to where I had it on my original. So there we go. There is the first card of the class. Hope you enjoyed it. And now I'll get the second one out. Okay, with my second one, this one is there's so many different colors in this. We're going to have a lot of different color combos. This one is using Pretty Peacock as the card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece. Go ahead and fold this since I've got it out. Have it ready when I'm ready for it. That way it'll be ready when I'm ready for it. Okay, put that to the side. Let's go ahead and go back to doing stamping like I normally do first. Bring this back in. This one was die cut out of a 2 3/4 by 3.5 inch piece of basic white. Bring in the Nested Essentials again, and I use the largest of these dies for that one. Now, this one can work great as a graduation card. I know graduations are pretty much over right now. Here in Indiana, we've still got a bunch of open houses. It can also be used for somebody that's just passed a big test, so that they've been worried about, and you can send them a card to congratulate them, let them know you're happy for them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the books and my memento again, and I'm going to stamp these. Okay, what I'm doing where the binding is, that's where I want to be straight along the bottom. So it looks like those books are sitting there on a table or something. So there we've got those. Now I'm going to grab this bird, and he's going to be sitting on top of those books, looking adorable. So I'll put him right there. I always hold it down for a few seconds. That way the ink soaks into the paper and I can get a nice image. Okay, while we're at it, let's go ahead and grab a piece. This is a scrap piece, but I'm cutting it to 2.5 by 1 inch for your kit. I'm going to grab my pretty peacock, and I'll just stamp it close to the middle because I'm going to be die cutting this out. So there we've got that, so I'll put that over to the side. Okay, now I'm going to bring this guy back in. Oh, you know what? I did the wrong bird, and I really like the other bird. We already used this bird, so let's turn this over. No problem. That's why we have two sides. Now, the little dots here aren't quite as good as they are here on the front, but they still look really good. A lot of times when you have the little dot border, it doesn't look as good on the back side, but that looks pretty good, so I'm fine with that. So let's bring those books back in. I could edit this out. I thought, no, in my lives I wouldn't be able to. So go ahead and put this here in the middle. Now I want to get the correct bird, like this guy's the one I want. The other one still looked cute, but I like this one better. So I'm going to put this one right here. There we go. I just think he fills in the books a little better. Okay, now I am going to be doing one more thing of stamping on here, but we'll do that here in just a minute. So I am still using the crumb cake. Where all these lines are, I'm going to do the dark crumb cake. Okay, there we go. And I am just doing the body. The wing's going to be another color too. So now I've got my light crumb cake, and I'll color the rest of it in, going over the dark so it'll blend in. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to bring in Daffodil Delight, both the dark and the light. Where those lines are, I'm going to do the dark daffodil and then color the rest of it in with the light. Oh, and I do want to color in his beak too with the dark. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to do some coloring on the books. I don't need the crumb cake anymore. I still need the Daffodil Delight. I'm going to bring in Pretty Peacock, and I'm going to bring in Calypso Coral. I decided to do the top one with Calypso Coral. This one I'm not going to do any blending. This is another way you can use your blends. I'm using the dark Calypso Coral, and I thought this section of the book here should be dark. So I'm just going to color it all in dark. The rest of that book, I'm going to color in with a light Calypso Coral. Okay, I got the first book done. Now I need the Pretty Peacock. And once again, I'm going to do this section. It's actually a little bit different, but still a center section in the dark Pretty Peacock. And now I'll do the rest of that book binding with the light Pretty Peacock. You know what? I did the complete opposite, but that's okay. So that's actually lighter and the dark is on the outside. No big deal. Picked up the wrong one, but that still looks good to me. So now I've got my yellow. This time I decided to make the little lines the dark shade. So this is the dark Daffodil Delight. That time I picked up the right blend. Now I'll use the light. Okay, there we go. We are all done coloring him in. So now I've got one more thing to stamp. I thought he's got to look scholarly, so we're going to put some glasses on him. So they're the ones that look more like regular glasses. These are round glasses. I like these, so that's what I'm going to use for this one. Got my pretty peacock out again. There are only 3 ink pads that are being used since we're using so many blends, and that's Misty Moonlight, the pretty peacock, and then the Memento. So I'm going to line this up over his eyes. I'm going to try to get that middle section over his beak. Hold it down for a few seconds, and there we go. Isn't he cute? He was cute before the glasses, but that makes him even cuter. So that's all the stamping we're going to do. I'm going to get the die cutting machine out so I can die cut that woohoo. Okay, now I'm ready to die cut my woohoo. So let's put this on here. Good, that looks right. I have a 50-50 chance. So at least there's not a lot of, if I didn't look right, then I just turn it around. Only 2 different ways to put this die down. Okay, now we'll die cut this, put another cutting plate on top. Run it through. And now we have a perfectly die-cut woohoo. Okay, I'm going to put this away and we'll finish making the card. Okay, now I'm bringing in a piece of Lost Lagoon. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of the Delightfully Eclectic DSP again. I thought this alphabet one would be perfect for book learning. So, like I said, this is 3 by 4. I'm going to attach this. I like the heart side too, so if you don't want that, you could definitely use the heart side too. Put some adhesive on here. Oops, I am just about out on this one. I might have to get a refill in here in a minute. I'm going to put this right here, top left corner, like so. And then there are 2 pieces of, this is from the Real Red and Burlap Ribbon combo pack. I'm using the burlap ribbon. They're 2 6-inch pieces. So just grab one of those. I'm going to put some adhesive on each end. You could also use tear and tape and put it on like regular tape. I'm going to put this right across here. Make sure it's straight. That looks pretty good. Now that the ribbon's on there, I can put this on the card base that I folded earlier. And I'll put a little bit on the ribbon too. Let's bring in that pretty peacock card base. Put that on the center. Now I'm going to grab my little stamped bird. I'm going to put dimensionals on him. I wanted him to be popped up. And yep, nobody's going to know that, but isn't it kind of cool how you see how the blends go right through? That means I've got it blended good. Kind of looks like an artsy thing on this side now with the stamping on it. Okay, now I'm going to grab, I take your pick tool, get all these off. And this guy is going to go in the bottom right corner of the card. There we go. And then I want to grab my little woohoo. And since he's kind of small, I am going to grab my dimensionals, my mini dimensionals again. Now, this part of the who side is going to be up against this one. Since this is already popped up, I don't want a dimensional on this side, but I do need one where the woo is at. So I'll turn this over, making sure the woo's still over here. Put one near the end. I'm not going to go all the way to the end because that's kind of small, and that mini's actually too big for it still. And then I will I'm going to grab my silicone mat. Put a little bit of seal right here on this end. And then my woohoo will go right here. There we go. Now we've got the inside of the card. Now I went ahead and did this ahead of time because I did it exactly like I did the books here. So I just stamped it here in the corner and colored it just like I did here. And I didn't want to have to do that again in the video. So I went ahead and did it off camera. So we'll go ahead and put this on the inside. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the basic white. Since you already saw me do it, you don't need to see me do those books again. So this time I opted to color on the inside of the card. Last one I didn't, this one I did. So we've got this, we're almost done. I'm going to grab that other 6-inch piece of the burlap ribbon. You could also use one that's a little smaller, but I didn't want you to have to, if you get the card kits, to accidentally pick up the wrong one. So I made them both the same size. So I just tied that on to the attached ribbon with a single knot. And now I'm going to trim these down at an angle. And that's done. Now we need to put some bling on it. Okay, and this time I'm going to use the Lost Lagoon ones, since I've got the Lost Lagoon here. I'm going to do this a little different than I normally do. I'm going to grab a big one here. You know what? We'll do this again. Sometimes I forgot to take off the old putty, because the old putty gets to where it isn't sticky anymore. So go ahead and pick this one up. Oh, much better. I'm going to put this little section here. I'm going to put it about in the middle. Okay. Then I'm going to take two small ones and put them on both ends of it. There we go. I thought that just looked nice doing that for this layout. So that is card number 2. Now get ready for the last card. Okay, here's the last card pack. I just had to use fresh freesia since that's the next color in the Tinsel Gems. I want to be able to use each color. So I'm going to have a card base. Let's go ahead and fold this again like I've done so far. Might as well keep it going. A 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of crumb cake. Get those corners lined up. Okay. Put this to the, well, actually, yeah, we will put it to the side, but I think we can do this because this is not going to be wrapped around. This is a piece of the black and white gingham ribbon. I love this ribbon. We've had it for a few years now. I'm so glad it's still here. So now this was embossed with the other folder in the Basics 3D embossing folders. But this is a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of the fresh freesia. I want this. This is also still the delightfully eclectic DSP. This is a 4 by 2 inch piece. Grab this one, we're actually going to be using both sides for my card, so we're not going to be covering up any sides this time. But I'm going to put this one right along the bottom, like so. And then this piece is a 4 by 1/2 inch piece. That's exact, it's just the other side of this paper, but this time I'm going to cover up the flowers. And put this to have a little border. You know what? I think I like it better this way. Just to have a little border. So I'm putting the bottom long edge right along the top long edge of the DSP. That looks pretty good. So this is ready to go onto the card base. So we'll go ahead and do that. Bring in the card base. And while we're at it, we'll just finish do the inside too. I'm not going to do any stamping on it. This is a 4 by 5.25 inch piece. This time, ooh, I've got too many pieces in here. You know what? I think I'll pick that one. But that's okay. I'll just keep that for another card kit. Go ahead and put this along the bottom. So I'm kind of mimicking what I did here on the front of the card. Put this one along the bottom edge, like so. We're going to grab this and put it along the top. This is another, it's the same size. It's a 4 inch by 1/2 inch piece. I didn't do the 2 inch on this one because I want to have plenty of room to still be able to write something inside the card. So we'll go ahead and turn this over. And we'll go ahead and put this in the card because we've got the inside all done. That way I don't lose this later. Put this in. That is if I can open the card. And there the inside is done. So you don't always have to stamp the inside. You can also just put DSP across it too. So let's go and put this to the side. I've got 2 pieces left in my kit. This one was die cut with the Nested Essentials again, and I used the largest banner. So now I've used each size. They're definitely good for layering. I ended up not doing that with this class, but that's okay. You don't always have to do layering because I end up needing the largest sizes for them to work with the birds. So with the little pointed end of the banner on the right, I'm going to stamp the branch again. Let's grab that tuxedo black memento. Twist a little bit here. Now this one I'm not going to be showing a lot of the branch. Well, actually I'm showing some, it's just not a ton. I am showing some of it though. I'm going to put it right about here, I think. Hold that down for a few seconds. There we go. I know part of it's off. That's going to be fine. Now I'm going to grab this bird. This time I got the right one. He's a little shorter than the other one, so he's going to fit on here just fine. Get him inked up with the memento. And he's going to be right on top of the branch. He is kind of angled a little bit. What I'm going to do, since he's angled, this bottom, or my left anyway, of his feet is going to be down on the limb just a little bit more, and the other one's going to be more on the top. Make sure I've got him in the right place here. It's looking more to his feet than his body, and I need to make sure the body's on there right. There we go. That looks fine. So he's ready to go. Now, I do want to do some leaves, though. I almost forgot. When I first did this, I wasn't going to do the leaves, but it doesn't quite look right. So we're going to have some partial leaves here. So I'll put some right here. And we've got a little area here we can fill some in. Okay, I know that looks really weird right now, but it's going to look good when we start coloring it in. And there's one more thing to stamp. This is another 2.5 by 1 inch piece. I'm going to be using the Hey There stamp. So let me get that inked up. Stamp it near the middle. And this is going to be die cut. Okay, now I'm ready to color. You know, I'm going to turn this over because those leaves are starting to look funny to me. There we go. I'm going to use the pecan pie again. I like this color on the limb. You could also use crumb cake. I'm going to be using crumb cake on his body again, so that's why I'm doing a different brown. So where I think there should be a shadow, maybe a little bit here because of the leaves. Okay, and now I'm going to do the rest of it with the light pecan pie. Okay, now I'm going to grab my old olive. I'm going to color it in just like I did on that first card. Do a little bit of a wiggly line along the middle and a little bit here on the bottom. And here's another little leaf. Here's another little leaf. There we go. And then I'll use the light and color the rest of the leaves in, blending the dark shade in. Okay, now if you want to fussy cut some leaves out like we did on the first one, have them sticking out, you can definitely do that. But I decided not to do it on this one. So now I'm going to grab the crumb cake again. This time I'm not going to do any blending with the crumb cake. I'm going to grab the light one. And see how it just has this line right here? That makes me think this whole section should be lighter, and I'm going to have his head be darker. Now you can do it the other way too. I went back and forth whether to have his head be the light or the dark. I decided to go with the light down here on his tummy. And then I'll do the dark crumb cake on the top. And then I'm going to grab the dark Daffodil Delight and do his little beak. And since the card has a lot of fresh freesia, I know there normally aren't purple birds, but when you're making cards, you can make them whatever color you want. So I'm going to take the dark fresh freesia and just every other line here in his wing, I'm going to do the dark. And then I'm going to do this tail the same way. Every other line is going to be the dark. Okay, now I'm going to take the light and color in the rest of his wing and tail. There we go. So you don't have to use blends for blending. It looks good this way too if you just want two different shades of it, one color. So that is all done. That's all the coloring we need to do. Now I need to do some die cutting. And we'll get the plates back in. Let's get my Hey There. And here's the die for it. This one's a lot easier to line up because you can see this little thing here. That's definitely got to be the Y. So get that lined up. I mean, it just fits. So you need to look over the whole greeting to make sure you've got it on there good. Get that tape on there. Definitely want to use tape on here because I do not want that to move. Get another cutting plate on top of it. And now we've got our Hey There. Okay, I'm bringing the card base back in and this and my Hey There. Oops, got some paper from the dimensionals on there. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to pop him up two, put one in each corner, and then one in the middle, because this is a big piece. I don't want it to collapse in the middle. Grab my Take Your Pick tool. There. And this is going to go, I want the left edge of the banner to go the left edge of the fresh freesia layer. Kind of overlap both DSPs just a little bit. Actually overlapping the narrow one a lot, but the flowers just a little bit. Hey there, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one. The there side I needed dimensional. So I'll grab the minis. And since that is so narrow, I think it's going to be fine if I just have one in that big section right there. And then put a little bit of adhesive on this end. Take this off. And I got the hey there close to his beak. So once again, looks like he's talking to us. So, and now one more thing, a couple more things. Actually, I almost forgot about my ribbon. This is a 9-inch piece of the black and white gingham ribbon. I'm going to tie it in a small bow. Probably don't need full 9 inches, but I want to make sure you had plenty. Sometimes it's a lot easier to be able to have a larger piece when you're making that bow. So I'm going to keep bringing this down smaller. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to grab my glue dots. Put one on the back of the knot in the bow. I was going to put this in the corner, but then it hangs off way too much. So I'm going to bring it over a little bit, still have it at an angle, like so. Now that I have it attached, I know how short I want to make those tails. And I'm okay with it hanging over just a little bit. There we go. There. See, I thought that just looked just right. It needed a little something more. Now we're going to put some bling on there. This time we're using that fresh freesia, like I said earlier. And I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to group these a little more so they're not so far apart. It actually looks good when you group them. I'm going to put one right here. And a small one here. I thought I'd put them around my hey there this time. Grab another small one. But I'm still using that triangle. I didn't say anything about that before, but I've said that in other videos. When you put bling on, the rule of thumb is to use an odd number, like 3 or 5, and make a little triangle. And also realize that they actually do look better if you group them together so they're a little closer together. Not always, it's just whatever looks good to your card. So there we go. There is my last card. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. Don't forget that you can get the card kits for free with a $35 order before shipping and tax. If you bump it up to $50, you'll get the whole pack of the Tinsel Gems 3-pack added to it. And you have until June 14th, that's Wednesday, the end of the day, to get your order placed. And like I said, just click on the Card Class at Home link down below in the video description and get all the information there. And there's also a link to my online store on that page also, so you can place your order. So I'm going to bring all the cards back in. I hope you enjoyed the class. And next week I should be able to be live again. I'll be back home. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you again next week. Like I said, live next week. And if you want to stamp with me again, I do a lot of other videos. Like I even have one that I did this morning. And if you aren't subscribing, subscribe by clicking that subscribe button below. And then when the bell icon pops up, make sure you click all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video. Okay, I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great week. Bye.